right, so my name's Taryn. Thanks for joining me, and let's get to it. So, pretty much right now, what I'm doing is I already laid in my pencil sketch yesterday, and right now, what I'm doing is I'm just putting in my Sharpie. So, right now, I'm focusing on getting in the Sharpie lines right. At this step right here, it's really not that important that you're like perfect. You know what I mean? Because Sharpie on watercolor paper, it's going to kind of bleed. You got to move your hand kind of quick, but at the same time, be steady, because it'll get thin on you or thick on you if you slow down or speed up. So honestly, you're just really wanting to maintain that solid stroke and not mess it up, dude. And honestly, I like using a medium size. I like using a medium size Sharpie on this spot right here and a decent one. But now that we got that done, I'm going to end up moving into the black. So I end up putting a clear coat of watercolor on my paper. What that does is it makes sure that I'm not going to end up burning this paper almost. Like it creates like a burn if you end up just putting pure acrylic ink, which I like to use the best for watercolor. If you put pure pigment right down and then just start spreading it out with a watercolor brush, it's going to burn on you. I mean, if you're into that watercolor look, that's perfectly fine. But me, I like doing tattoo flash. So I like my stuff to look clean, polished, professional. I mean, I want at the end of the day somebody to look at this and be like, hey, did you make this or did a computer make it? And to be honest with you, like, and I'm not talking down about anybody, but I have had tattooers who've gone to me and been like, hey man, like what exactly is this, And honestly, to me, that's a compliment. Like if somebody doesn't know how I ended up doing that, like that just means it's professionally done, and that's what I strive for. So I've been making tattoo flash, honestly, for the last 2 years, decent at it. For me to get my footing in tattooing, this is the primary route that I ended up going. I don't want to say there's like blatant racism in tattooing, but like let's face it, this is America. I work in Southern Indiana, and I mean I've definitely had some strange experiences in tattoo shops of trying to get in, and like my theory is just like honestly, it's like if you want to get in, you got to be the best. So my theory on watercolor paper was like, yo, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna make sure that it's better, so good that nobody can deny it. And like honestly, I think that's a good mentality. So like whatever you're into, like and honestly, like yeah, this is where it's like if you're like like Dominican, if you're like black person, if you're any type of race or whatever, it's true. You really do have to try to be twice as good sometimes just to get like half as much in the beginning, But you can't be bitter, and you just got to go through it, And that's okay. That's what makes you good. So this watercolor paper, honestly, if anybody were to say that they didn't be interested in tattoo, I'd be like, man, watercolor all the time. Like, I don't want to see colored pencil drawings. I don't want to see like any. I want to see watercolor, because that's what's going to tell me what you can and can't do. And it's awesome to be able to hang that up in your first spot, So my first tattoo job, my dream when I got in there beyond tattooing was like, yo, I want to be able to just like fill in my booth with awesome tattoo flash that I made. And when somebody points to it, I can be like, nah, man, I did that right there. And to me, that's the best. It's the best feeling ever. So back to the process. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm laying in a lot of black. So this dragon, like I wanted it to end up really accentuating color. So to me, the only way I really could do that is if I was like tone down certain spots. So this is the Maleficent dragon that my friend ended up asking me to do, and we're actually going to tattoo it in the next coming week. But with that, okay, so Maleficent dragon, it's got bright greens in it, glowing mouth, glowing eyes, all this stuff like that, scales, purple scales on its stomach. And when I was drafting it, I thought like, wait a minute, what if I end up just going at this with like, like maybe like a blue or a purple or whatever. And honestly, to me, it just distracted. So I almost feel like restraint is actually way more impressive sometimes than just like color bombing something. Like that's cool, but for me, I think it shows way more if you can like hold back. So we've got a lot of black going on here, and so yeah, so right now we're working in the horns. When I was doing these horns, I mean, it wasn't the best. Like when it comes to just levels of fun, it's a lot of repetition, and making sure you don't mess up the whole design in this one little section. This is Tattoo Flash, so people are really going to be okay with if you make mistakes. Um, Honestly, like some of my favorite people who make Tattoo Flash, I'll make a little section on in below where I'll put people on Instagram that I love to follow who make Tattoo Flash, and I'm just like, oh my god, how did you do this? Like the type of stuff that just makes me want to like go back and be like, should I just not try this anymore? Should I change it up completely? And it's crazy, you know. Like I'll link some people local around me. I'll link some people like internationally. It's a great way to just show what you can do, you know. So I've only got one section of this. My goal right now is to just I do one little half, and if anybody likes this little video, you know, just like write a little comment and be like, hey, I think that like this would be cool on the other side. But the only thing is, it's got to be related to the movie, like Maleficent or Sleeping Beauty. You know, keep it cohesive in that theme. You know, so if somebody's like, hey, it'd be cool if you just made like a sleeping like a sleeping girl head, I'd be like, okay, that's awesome, you know what I mean? Or like if somebody's like, okay, maybe like witch hand holding or whatever. All these things are like what I'm actually into and thinking. But I'm gonna leave that up to you so that in the future you can just see me rip through Tattoo Flash. I'm kind of over just like doing the Tattoo Flash in my room by myself. That's cool and all, but I mean honestly, I know what I like to do, and I'm cool with sharing this because I mean, let's face it, it's a community of artists out here, and we're all trying to get better. And we're all going to be able to get better if we're all trying to be like cool with each other, you know? Like it's all about community to me. That's really one of my major goals is to just like be involved in a cool community. Um, all that said, so now we're in a spot where like I'm almost done putting in all the black, you know? Like I've got to the side, I've got my ink caps, and I've got my ink caps over to the side because I don't want to make any spills or anything. And like, so what I ended up doing was I put down a little bit of saran wrap, taped that, got out some Vaseline. You can use A&D, like typically in a tattoo you use A&D, but like I just got this Vaseline to the side because it's like a little adhesive. And I put that down, got my ink caps, put those little down, and they're not moving anywhere, you know what I mean? And then I got my little bits of water up to the side so I can keep like my brushes clean. And then I just got my acrylic ink out there. And I really like acrylic ink. When I first started getting into Tattoo Flash, I didn't want anything to do with Tattoo Flash. I thought it was like sailor stuff and whatever. I didn't even know much about tattooing. And I went in this one tattoo shop, and the guy who ran the place, he's like kind of angry type of guy, and he's just like looking through my colored pencil drawings. He's like, these don't look that good, you know, which is weird when you're like young and you hear someone say your stuff's not that good. It's like, I'm not used to adults talking to me like this, but all right. And he's like, if you want to be like, you need to get some PH Martin's watercolor paper or watercolors. So, you know, I got those, but PH Martin's pretty cool color on some things. They kind of fade though, but I saw some other guys use acrylic ink, and then I just had to change. So right now we're into the purple. And you know, this is a part for me that I'm excited about doing whenever I get to do the like more colorful parts, because that means that it's like it's moving along. You know, if I was doing a complete flash sheet, typically I'll have the whole thing already drafted up, and I'll just be putting in the black as we go and stuff like that. But on this one, I kind of want to just be able to show the process altogether. This thing took me 3 hours to end up putting Sharpie down and come up with the scheme on paper. Watercolor, it's fast in a way. It's faster than many other forms to get a professional look, but you still got to take your time. This is water, you know, and you got to sometimes go back in little spots. And I like to just really upset myself. So, like, what I mean by that is, like, I'll put lines upon lines upon lines that repeat themselves constantly. And the only reason I'll do that is because I kind of like suffering. I don't know why or where I get that from, but it's just like the reality is it's like when you go to an art program, okay, first things first, you don't learn anything about art. Like, you're going to learn more about suffering than you're going to learn about art, because most of the time it's just like figuring out how to spend 20 hours on a drawing that you really don't care about anymore and just like powering through it. Sorry about that noise. It's so stupid. Um, and so that's what I like to do. I'll repeat things. I'll do that, make it higher. And now we're on this pink. Acrylic ink makes pretty decent colors, but I'm not really the biggest fan of pink. If I if I do right, I'm probably going to switch to a PH Martin pink because I really do actually like that. PH Martin makes really vibrant pinks and blues. I mean, killer. So in the future, I'll probably switch to one of those. But right now I'm working with it, and we end up getting it, so it's right. But we're mixing now. We're about to go in with this lighter purple, and I'm just covering, saturating it. Nowadays, I really like to push myself, so I'll make a color sketch study before I do any of this. So like, don't be sitting thinking like, oh man, like this dude he's like going straight at it. He's not making any mistakes. No, I make mistakes all the time. Every day I'm making mistakes. Um, if I'm doing something that I'm not really used to, I'm going to make even more mistakes. Like if somebody's like, hey, make a flower for me, I'm probably not going to make that many mistakes. That's not something that's like going to throw me off. But dragging, yeah, I had to go back at it, when my buddy said that she wanted this as a tattoo design, my main thing was like when I started researching dragons, I want to make my own, but I started noticing everybody's redundant with their design. It's like I think I took a little break right here. Sorry about that. Like you're not really watching anything, but anyway, it was just like cartoons, and that's fine for a tattoo, but there really wasn't much going on that like just wowed me, and I really wanted to be wowed by this. And it's like I'm trying to please my like inner high schooler. My art, if I'm doing it right, I want my younger high school self to just look at this shit and be like, "Yo, man, that's really awesome! Like, I love this right here." Um, we're almost like getting close to the end though, so like I'm gonna throw in a couple little plugs. Like, don't like hate me for it or whatever, but like if you do like my stuff and want to see more stuff, like do subscribe on here. Go check out my Instagram. Honestly, like if I just get Instagram followers from this, like that'd be awesome. Like mark my stuff up, whatever. Like that's cool with me. I don't have any like dreams of grandeur or whatever it's called. Like all I want to do is just make stuff and like uh, be an artist who's active. I just graduated from Indiana University. I'm living in Bloomington. I don't know if I'm supposed to say all these things, but I'm pretty easy to find a tattoo professionally. But I really do love what I do, and I love my clients and them pushing me. And so, like right here, like I'm from Indiana on Instagram. That's how you can find me. But like, okay, so back into it. Now, I just put in all my little colors and all that stuff, and like the secret for me is like I'm using like this little gel pen, and I'm about to bust that out and put it down. And I think that's really what sells this drawing. But yeah, if you're interested in this, like learning something, I hope I was able to like push you a little bit further. Sorry if I was like ranting a little bit, but it's all cool. This isn't like it's not about being professional. You know what I mean? It's just about connecting. So let's try to build cooler art community, whatever else. But I hope you enjoyed this. I really like how we ended up using all the watercolor, all the white. And when you make mistakes, it's perfectly fine. You end up just like erasing it. It's almost like it never happened. And yeah, leave me some comments on what you're trying to see next. We can do that. Or, just like chill, watch this, learn something.